First off, let me say that I really do love the Team Associated Rat Rod. This is a fine little car. And I realize that most of the trouble I encountered here would have been fixed by me if I'd looked this thing over before I tossed a battery in it and hit the dirt. When I first started driving the Rat Rod, it was just all over the place. I used to be decent at racing RC cars, but this thing was looking like I let go of a balloon, and I started wondering if I was able to do it. I was sure that there was something wrong here, but I thought I'd establish a base point, just get used to it, and then start tuning it. It's been a while since I videoed a car, so I wanted to work on some camera positions and that also. Finally, I got frustrated enough that I stopped and looked, and found out that the right front wheel was towed out a bunch. One of the things I liked about this chassis was the turnbuckles you have for adjustments, so it made it easy to fix this. I'm figuring out some toe plates for a model like this, but in the meantime I just dialed in enough toe in so I had both wheels towed in a little bit. With that one change, the car was a bunch easier to drive. But it still seemed to be doing things I didn't want it to, especially when I tried pitching it into a corner. Then I picked it up without turning the radio off and noticed that the gyro response was backwards. The receiver that comes with this car has a gyro built into it, and it's really easy to change, so that took all of about 2 minutes, and we were back on the track. All of a sudden, I could drive cars again. With the gyro now helping rather than trying to mess things up, driving a Rat Rod was a whole bunch easier and it's a lot more stable. But you do still have to drive the car. At this point, I've got maybe 4 or 5 packs through the Rat Rod, so it's going to take a little while for me to get accustomed to it. I haven't really done anything with the chassis in this car yet, except for putting a small spacer in the right front and left rear shocks. My plan for, at least right now, is to stick with 2S packs in this car. I'm limited to this area for wearing in a track, so I think a 3S battery would just be wasted on this. Once I get more used to this car, I'm going to try some different gear ratios, because I think we can give up some top end here and get it out of the turns a little harder. This is full throttle coming off of the turn, and you can see it, the back end steps out a little bit, but it's easy to control. I think gearing this better for such a short track is going to make it handle a bunch better. And maybe it'll help me stay out of the infield a little bit more. This is another camera experiment, but I like the way it looks, so I left it in. Plus, it shows you how stable the chassis is going through a turn like that. Of course, I was feeling happy, so the next time around, I did that. Here again, you can see that the chassis and the car itself is doing everything right. In fact, it was doing it so right, it hooked up and went straight before I thought it would. Me being 75 and all, I don't have time to wait, so I just held the gas down and see if I could drive it around that big block that's coming up. And me being 75 gives me an excuse for not missing it. Notice the back tires digging as I hit the block. I think that hit may have contributed to a problem I experienced a little later. I ran 2 more battery packs through the car since that hit, and it seemed to be slowing down a little bit. I thought maybe I was just running out of batteries, but then it started making kind of a whistling sound. So I took the cover off the differential and found this. Now if I would have looked at this before I started driving it, I would have seen that the pinion wasn't set across the full gear. Maybe it wasn't set up right from the factory, but it's my bad for not looking at the damn thing. So I have some gears coming, so stay tuned because we'll be back.